We have it's 7 o'clock. We have a completely full house, which is nice to see. Who can remember the last time every single person in this room was here? So it's been a while. That's awesome. It's good to see everybody. So I will call this meeting to order. First thing up is our approval of our consent agenda items. Robin, any notes about the consent agenda?
No, only that I still haven't, Jeremy hasn't gotten back to me about the question from last time about the attendance or the door count numbers. We're still not sure why those are trending lower. But we'll see what we can find out before the next meeting. Other than that,
And that was because they're lower and we don't know why.
yeah, they're just about 10 to 15% lower than last year. And we don't know if it's counting something differently. If you look at our program numbers, they're a little lower too. I don't tend to worry all that much about statistics.
Seems like everything else was pretty much in line.
So, circulation is still good. So we're just, I don't know, it might just be a review that's for some reason. It only have to be we have to pull that, but that is something to think about. I will ask if we can do this question, because it's a separate location, so we should be able to at least get some sort of data.
This is the people counter, right?
Yes.
And so we noted that it was down last month, but it's still down this month.
It's not down as in it's not working, it's down as in the numbers.
Right, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
But I'm saying it hasn't
For it to be
changed from
clear,
last month when we talked about this, but this.
It's
Okay.
still down.
Does anybody have any questions or concerns about the consent agenda item?
I'll make the motion to be accepted.
We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any nay? Okay. We will move on to our comments from observers. We have an observer. Welcome. How are you? We're doing okay. Anything you wanted to say or address us or questions or concerns?
No questions or concerns. Here, as president of the forum, I got them in the library school right now.
Yeah.
So, thank you all for coming.
You're very welcome. Thank you for coming.
You really know Lebanese?
I do not, but I live in DC.
Oh, okay. You're not part of it.
I go to.
Okay.
Well, you picked the right library board.
Short and sweet.
Yep.
Humility, Bob, humility.
No, our library is the best. Our library board is the best. That's the story I'm sticking to. We don't have any other observers online, I assume. We can move on to comments from friends of the library. Susan, you have.
The pleasure to talk and but happy that she gave us and then she retired life and then she needed and she did almost 2 seconds, but she's just really and we figured out I'm pretty confident. No, they're in my dreams, but at any rate, the only real
On Saturday, September 9th.
Yeah. From 10 to 1. 16.
Mhm.
It is, and, you know, I have to brag about them, she's there, just amazing, and manage costs, and just, balance. Yes, you can probably find it, you know, less.
Mhm.
Not as the ones. The vendor is large farms, the Newcastle, but they also farm. Around there, the bus one is keeping up really, really well. Jane, you know, is an outside doctor, newsletter. Next one can be to the, people in life. I'm not part of the conversation, but I think it was like a lot. So the enthusiasm that James comes to see and the people, it makes me feel good. And we learn often spoken on the garden committee this year. We weren't last year, we didn't really want to this year. It's a wish that we would be, so we love. Yeah, why not say yes? They give out these coupons,
Mhm.
always, we got 57 of them for years. Yeah, only 5 people come from there.
Mhm.
And that was the other two. It's office is
Yeah.
now, I mean, you never know. But only 5 came in on Sunday, we made $300.
Mhm.
You want to say, let's look at the will. So, we won't be open next year, unless it's huge change. Yeah, but we're also putting volunteers in that spot. And then here, well, these volunteers, we work until the last. And, it's not really. Not, with the coupon redemption value, $5. And those two big things, and. I mean, typically. Yeah, we set up a coupon. Correct, and occasionally it may be, and they're generous too, though, I mean, really good. We can't. But it works out, but it's, and there's also the goodwill piece. So we would definitely. I would.
Like bookstore to or whatever that was.
Yeah.
That was pretty successful.
We did
Over a lot of
really well.
people.
I did have those numbers.
We got them in a minute.
Yeah, the amount of new people, and we're still seeing people from that. We, a lot of these people. Really, really. Well, one other thing, I'm not, this is not a suggestion, I'm just trying to recently. So on the garden tour, house from Dollar Hill.
Mhm.
So I didn't know it at all. It would have been nice. Maybe nobody, but, so they. They wanted a board for sustainability in pollinating. They were also the way station for monarchs, and all I know what that means, but that was great. We don't have to. I know it's a long time, but all of this. They want the Audubon Award.
When you get the house. I don't even think they mentioned it.
Well, in their bar, I didn't go. But, they also won the Audubon Award and the National Wildlife Award.
Wow.
And they have a good time in New York. Me, I mean, really, truly. And Zoe is the one who put me this. And volunteering myself. She said, some of these, you have to do intense amount of gathering information and taking pictures, and I don't know about all this. She was very impressed. Did something. Zoe does want to be on the garden next year. Her garden, I know.
Maybe,
Love her.
know her aggressive.
And she's been taking pictures seasonally, so she's ready.
You can drive and stuff. Visit and everything.
Just on the other side. You know.
Yep. Thank you.
But, they took pictures early in the spring and now. Whatever they think you might need to go through. She did it. But I called her today to say, you sure you really want me to do that? She said, yes. So, and now, my God.
She's in my notebook.
Yeah.
She's in my notebook. She's telling me.
No, no, no. She is an expert. She knew all this,
Wonderful.
and her yard. I'm not saying that too much about that, but, she has applied for many, awards, and she is an award. More. I did think today, I'll be talking about. She knows all that.
Dudes have very.
You might be able to give her the stuff that you just said.
She does.
Okay, just so that she knows.
Okay, well, I will.
Right, exactly.
Susan, your treasurer position, do they get any sort of like pay or stipend, or is that a fully
No,
volunteer
everything
position?
comes.
Okay, I thought so.
And that's pretty strongly stated in the bylaws. So, even if there were. At this point.
Thank you. Thank you for all your updates. Any other comments on the application? Here.
I am, let's see, what can I update you? Budget season is rapidly approaching. It's November. So when we're going to keep an eye on, because that's, that's when we approve what we're going to spend next year and how much to tax. So if you want to know, here's the fun, right there. The capital improvement plan, which is the plan where we put large expenses that we fund over time when we have the money to do it. That usually gets approved end of August, beginning of September. And I haven't even seen it yet, so I'm not sure.
We just sent you our page to look at.
Perfect.
Make sure we have the right numbers in.
Yes.
So Jeremy and I will be doing.
Perfect. Okay. In exciting, okay. Yeah. In exciting news, we are putting out an RFP to review our zoning code. If you're zoning good like I am, that's exciting stuff. But it's pretty dry, but it really does. Zoning code really determines what the community will look like going forward. And judging from the comprehensive plan, which was just a sort of aspirational list, I'm sure the zoning code will get, lots of attention. People tend to not understand it particularly well, rumors fly around about it, and there's lots of them. Let's see, the RFP is to hire somebody that's a consultant that can come in and talk about real estate and so. Our zoning code, I'm trying to remember if it's like 20 years old at this point, so pretty far out of date. And really does need to be updated. And I run into problems all the time with little things that you would think aren't that big of a deal, that are in the zoning code, and people are mad. I had one guy yelling at me yesterday, and he finally just said, you know, I did return it. Can we start there? But he was, and I understood why he was upset. It was kind of an archaic rule that was really, because he applied for a permit, he was getting penalized. A lot of people on the street and then sheds in the backyard, they didn't send inspectors in the backyard. So, yeah. But anyway, I mean, and they probably grown up over the years. Quite that easy. Municipality is going out with a bond issue this summer to fund some long-term expenses. One is money for the south garage. Our south garage has to come down. It is beyond its life. Okay, yes, okay, I didn't say that, but I know.
No, we're being recorded.
The big one, it's on Washington, on Florida, it's on Florida. Not the North Garage, the South
The one by
Garage,
the
next to this big one.
Yeah.
It was built in the 1970s. And at the time, here we go, I'm gonna geek out for you, okay, ready? The steel rebar, which is what the concrete sits on, was not coated. It went in as steel rebar, because that was, at the time, the construction practice. As it rusts, it misshapes and it pops off the concrete. So it's not really in danger of falling down, but it is, we are constantly repairing to the tune of about $1 million a year. Concrete is popping off. Not only that, but it's the kind of garage where you come in at the top and you have to go all the way down, which people hate. I'm probably the only person that doesn't mind that at all, but I understand why people do not like it. And so, but those are the kind of things that really need to be.
Every time I pass by, I keep saying, I'm like,
I know, isn't it true? You know, it's
still
not
there, it's like
there
under
though.
a cover or something.
You know, it's not that though. In the I think it was 90s, there was a gentleman in there who had a problem with alcohol. And he would drink mouthwash and hang out in the garage. He was completely harmless, but because I guess there's a lot of alcohol mouthwash, I don't know. He was sitting because he drank mouthwash. And you could see him every day when he was gone. Wave at him. So.
Is this what you expected from the
From the elected official. But anyway, so that is, there's $3 million in that bond issue just to start taking in the garage and doing some studies about how we're going to do it.
That's what I was gonna ask, because I remember that was a hot button topic during comprehensive plans.
It's still.
About.
Yeah, it's, we did a feasibility study with several different firms working together to study the feasibility of putting in a garage in the apartment building above. There is a fairly high demand for single family living for aging population. So. Yeah, proximity is wonderful. Plus, it's not only that, if you think about Washington DC and think about all the transit development, that wouldn't be right over the transit, but it's, you know, what, 2 blocks away? You can walk to it. It would be pretty cool if you were young and just wanted to.
So that's why my agreement is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Mhm. That is it. Okay, I'll stop. Does anybody have any questions?
Questions for Ann? Thank you, Ann.
Sure.
Cutting out the part there at your own risk part, putting on TikTok later. So. You may all have noticed the agenda's a little out of order. I asked Robin to move new business up because I have a hard out at 8 today and I wanted to make sure we got to our action items. So we are going to move to new business next. And first up is the service level narrative for the 2025 budget, which I will let Robin and Pete take over on that.
26. I did have it.
It
25.
says 26 on mine.
I know, that was in.
2026 budget.
I did. 2026 budget. So basically, this is the same language. I think more is going to new for this year, right? So you've all seen this before. This is.
Pete's like,
Me too. That's right. You came in last week, but November.
Pete's like, hello.
Whatever. So anyway, sorry about that. So every year, the beginning jump in case there's something wrong. The manager is working to recommend a budget at the end of September. And that's what is under consideration when we go to budget hearings in November. And then the board votes, or the commission rather votes on the approved budget. So we do what is called
Based budget.
zero-based budgeting. So basically, we pretend every year that we have no money at all. And so the first level is just a basic appropriation for 54 hours a week. That does not include Sunday service. And just bare bones essential library services. And the numbers that Allison, our finance administrator, gets for these is based on just 54 hours is based on reduced costs as far as collection and operations with staffing and everything. The second appropriation increases 10 hours a week to 64 hours, and then the standard appropriation is where we're at right now. So that's 68 hours a week, which is what libraries open now, 7 days a week, and all of the funding we have for materials and our programming services. And then the last couple of years, we've been asking for the e-resources appropriation, which this is a good time to talk about that. Anyway, from the Apple General Membership Meeting, which was a couple of weeks ago, the approved e-resources formula is once again a large increase. It's a 24% increase over 2025, which would be about $18,400 more than last year, which is 29% higher than 2024. So it just keeps going up and up and up and up. But using 2024 numbers, which are the last official numbers that we did for the state report, ebooks were 22% of our circulation, but the county contribution was 13% of our budget. So it's worth it. It's worth the money, but it's a lot. And we don't, because we're still doing well with our physical circulation, we don't want to decimate that fraction. So we've been asking for an additional e-resources appropriation. And last year, with the Regional Asset District giving us a bit more money, the commission made up the difference on that. So we were funded to level 4 last year. So I think we should ask again this year for that additional $3,000 to help cover the cost of that ever-increasing budget line. No guarantees that we get it. The manager typically recommends us at level 3, and then whether or not we get level 4 will be up to the commission.
But we did get
We did last year because we had a small bone for MAB, and we just used that money, and then I would like to inform the commission.
What happens if we don't?
We still have the funds to cover, it's just, monthly cover from them. Which is fine.
Given that, we move to approve the service level narrative. Level 4.
Does anybody have any questions before I get a second? No? Holiday, were you seconding? Is that what you're doing? Okay, we have first, we have second, all in favor say aye. Aye, any nays?
And we'll have the numbers for you by the September budget, or by the September board meeting, in August, Pete and Bob will be available. And I will meet with the finance administrator, or the finance director across the street, Anthony Perry, and his staff, and just work out, our budget ask, which, the municipal budget ask is normally about 71% of our total revenue. The rest is made up by the regional asset district, state funds, state tutor living funds, and, donations, and the funds of the library. So, don't know what's gonna happen anywhere with the state, with the regional asset district, but we're just proceeding ahead as if everything is normal, so this is what happens. Stay tuned.
Our second bit of new business is the presentation of policy updates, which is something we will be approving on, hopefully voting to approve in September, so it'll become an action item then. If you turn, there's a page, it's right before the director's report and right after the
If you can
service
from
level
November,
narrative.
it's page 16.
Says presentation of recommended updates to library policies. So the governance committee met within the last 2 weeks. There were 3 of these policies we got done with a while ago, but there were 2 more we've been wrestling. We've been holding this up, trying to wrestle with those 2. We haven't cracked them both yet, but we did crack one of them. So we decided to present 4 policies tonight that we will hopefully be voting to approve in September. They are the confidentiality of library records policy, the evaluation of library director policy, memberships, and purpose authority. The evaluation of library director is one of the ones that was giving us fits because it was just completely inaccurate to how we do that now, and we basically rewrote it from scratch about 2 weeks. Okay, I'm trying to think. Susan, Christine, where are the other, as far as the other 3, what would we say is the second one that has a lot of changes? Would it be confidentiality of library records? Is that the one we do a lot of work to? Suzanne, Chris, membership?
Not membership.
Purpose and for, no.
Right.
Confidentiality.
Yeah, yeah, they have. Right. So I'm just letting the rest of the board who's not in the governance committee know the confidentiality of library records is one we get a lot of work. So if you go to Govenda and you pull out these documents and you look at the red line version, you're going to see a lot of red. It was heavily red. So in Govenda, you should have, is it just red line versions and new versions, and the old versions are available on the website? Is that
I
correct?
uploaded the front versions.
Okay.
Please.
So to Govenda, if you go to Govenda, you will see the current versions of these 4 policies, the red line versions and the new versions that the governance committee is proposing. So what I would ask is that all board members give those 4 a look over the next 2 months, and then come prepared in September, because we don't need it in August, correct?
Right, so what we normally do is we have 1 per comment. So if you can look at it and get back to us before the August 15th, so we have time. Anything before we go into September?
Yeah, you are more than welcome to email me at any time. I can talk to Kristen and Suzanne. We can hash stuff out early, especially mine. If we get to September and we have major concerns or questions we need to hash out in this meeting, I'm totally fine with that. I won't have to run out in September, but anything we can clear up early, we can do that. Any concerns you might have that just, I think last year, holiday, about 1 or 2, and we just answered why we did it, and that was that. We So we're happy to answer questions early. Otherwise, we will be hoping to approve those for in September. Again, the work we do is to not just improve the policies, but to pull them more in line with how the library actually operates. Because some of these ones that haven't been updated in 20 years, it's not that they're stronger or weaker, it's that they're just not applicable to how things work. So that's largely what our work goes to. The one we're still working on, which is, what's the official name of it? It's a policy that basically outlines the duties of the director and the duties of the board. There you go, pretty close. That one is proving to be a beast. We are still working on that one. We have a lot of ideas that are scribbled on many pages of paper that are sitting in my office right now. We're hoping to present that one in September. We're hoping at the same time we're voting to approve on these four, we will be presenting that one, but then we can vote on it later. Because we're getting closer. We did a lot of work on it as well. It's just not great. Yeah, it's that policy which separates it into categories like financial, operations, and it's like, here's what the director does, here's what the board does. Quite honestly, none of it makes sense.
None of it is things that we actually learn how to do.
Right. Yeah, it's like the board side is not how the board operates in this day and age, and the director side is just different. Yeah, so we're working at it while making sure that this board retains the power that it actually has, and that Robin's responsibilities are spelled out properly based on what she actually does. So
That was last updated in 2002, so a lot has changed in 20 years.
Oh, no, no, receives that, baby.
So yeah, does anybody have any questions about that now, or the process we're gonna go through? That sound good to everybody? Again, if you have any questions or concerns about any of those four policies we hope to vote on in August, let me know. I can relay to Kristen and Suzanne if we need to, and we either get you an answer or try to come up with a fix, and if we can't, we'll hash it out in the board meeting in September. Again, all of that is in Govenda. If you're having problems with Govenda, let me or Robin know. We will email you copies.
The documents folder is on the back, on the inside, and I put the direction on that page, and know exactly which folder.
One way or another, we will make sure you have all the relevant copies. Any other new business from anyone? Then we shall move on to Robin and the director's report.
Yes, okay, very busy time at the library, and I'm hardly ever here, but I'm doing a lot, there's a lot going on. So let's see. So first, I'm just gonna talk quickly about the ACRA general membership meeting and board meeting, which we have on June 29th. Thank you, Mark, for coming. Basically, there are 3 general membership meetings each year. And those are the meetings which all Allegheny County Library Association members, the boards and directors to attend and just get updates on everything that's going on in the county as far as big picture stuff. And the June meeting is where we talk about e-resources and we talk about the regional asset district formula. So fun discussion all the way around. This year, one of the Shaler, the library director from Shaler, put forth a motion for the e-resources formula voting to remain with the library directors in the last meetings rather than be voted on at the general membership because it was a selection decision and not a decision for membership. So that was approved. So going forward next year, the general membership would be informed of the director's vote, but it was really just a cumbersome thing where our committee would present to directors to vote the recommendation to the general membership who would vote to approve it. So it was just some added stuff that isn't really necessary. So the e-resources formula for this year was approved at 100%. Of the suggested information about formula just divvies up the county e-resources cost for all of the books in the Libby, app. So, CLP pays for a chunk of it, the regional asset district pays for a chunk, and then the rest is divided up. And that's based on circulation and the amount of money we pay in our collection, the amount of money we spend in our collection. So because our library has high circulation and we spend a lot of money on our collection, we're usually the first or second is the biggest chunk of money. And of course, the percentage, when it goes up, that percentage goes up. So, like I said, it's a 24% increase in last year. It's even with the changes they made to really use last year as far as reducing the old weekly code plan at one time and things like that, we're still not able to keep up without throwing a ton more money than we actually are. So we're still not very really need to meet demand, but we're doing like the bulk of the ways can manage to afford. We also voted on the John said this should formula, basically not the whole long funding scheme, but the regional asset district asks the libraries in the county to develop the formula by which the money distributed. So ACWA is the asset, we are grant recipients of the ACWA asset formula. So we devise a formula to figure out how to get the money to everyone in as fair a way as possible. And regional asset district will not develop the formula, but they are very involved in its creation, let's say. And
Along the first one.
yes, and this past year, there's no exception. We made major changes to it to further try to reflect the needs of the libraries, make sure that the stress libraries are being covered and that kind of thing. It's, I think if we're funded at the 4% increase that we're asking for, we'll get a slight increase. I think it's about the same increase as part of the e-resources cost, so I might be a wash, we'll see. That's if we're funded. Amy Anderson, the CEO, was told we can ask. It's a reasonable request, but that doesn't mean they seem to be leaning, and the elected officials we talked to this year seem to be leaning on the very conservative side as far as budget increases go for anything. So we asked for state funds for like basically like so we'll see. We always kind of assume flat funding and hope for the best. We'll find out. Another couple of things, the state budget is delayed. I think it's back in the House now. And I think the federal Medicaid that's the main concern there, it's causing all the mess. We might be able to speak to this better than me. Okay. I don't know that we need to go any more than that. If you want to get really granular, you can. And our state librarian, Sue Banks, who previously worked at the Permanent Library of Pittsburgh and has been with the Commonwealth Libraries for 4 or 5 years now. She will be retiring in June 2026, so they'll be starting the search for that probably closer to the end of this year for her replacement. She is my mentor and my friend, and very lucky for leadership. As far as my report, that was all just outside the library stuff. It's been busy, like I said. Our bylaws require me, the library director, to inform you of any staff changes. So we were all aware that the longtime senior children's librarian, Connie Matthews, was retiring. She retired June 9th. And summer reading kickoff day was her last day. She wanted to go out with a bang, and she certainly did. And she was very missed. So we have a new part-time children's librarian who started in May. May of 2000 at the May meeting in Ravenna. And then just recently we hired a new part-time circulation clerk, Sarah Begay, BAG. So those are some new staff additions. The Friends of the Library recently made a very generous donation of new chairs for our meeting rooms. And if you can see the chairs,
Yeah.
which kind of shape they're in, these chairs are, believe it or not, about 30 years old. And this is the seats have been refinished, like reupholstered. So we definitely got our money's worth out of them. They were delivered while I was at ALA, and they were the wrong. It was not our fault. So I think the vendor's gonna have to figure out how to sell these on the chairs, because Jeremy would not accept them and send them back, because he was willing to haggle because it's Jeremy, but the guy did not give him his freedom. He sent them back, and we're getting our new chairs soon. They will ship.
What color did we order and what color did they come?
Well, we had been going back and forth between green and gray, and we ultimately decided on gray. Wait, we thought it would be the stones, it would just absorb.
And then he also mentioned that.
Good for Jeremy for holding my heart.
He's, you had any idea how much money he saves? I've been here, like seriously, if you ever want to buy a new car or something, ask him to go with you, because he's amazing.
When we offered to do that, I had a dollar figure in mind, and I thought this is. And then it came back, but I didn't give him. He came back with, it was $1,000,000 less. And I was like, how did you do it? Because really, like I said, I had a number, it was a big number, it was a solid number. It was huge. He is. Yes.
So I was at the ALA conference from Friday the 27th to Tuesday, July. Well, I left Tuesday. Through Monday, Tuesday. So the conference ended. I went to a lot of sessions, and there were a lot about censorship and about laws changing libraries across the country. I went to a great session on the Museum of Archives in Philadelphia. That was, I'm not an archivist, but really just a fascinating discussion. There were a lot of good keynotes. So I saw George Takei, Renee Brown, Gina Davis, who was a closing speaker. And at the last minute, they were able to get Dr. Carla Hayden, our former librarian of Congress, to attend. And it was like, there wasn't a dry eye in the house. We all loved her so much, and we're so proud of her. And just to hear her, she's so just classy and diplomatic and tactful, and she really has an unkind word to say about anyone. But she was the most inspiring part of the whole conference for me, because after some of the sessions I sat through, I was feeling pretty like what's happening in my profession. But yeah, that was. I also spent a lot of time in the exhibit hall, mostly trying to get vendors to come to our conference, because I'm the conference chair for our state conference in September, as you all know. And then one last thing I did, I don't know if you can see this, but they have a big chair right against the big chair. So I sat in the big chair, and they have me on video talking about our book sanctuary.
Yay!
Oh, very nice.
So
Very nice.
those will be coming out, I think, in August, they said. And we'll be able to use those on our social media. So yeah, I mean, I'm little anyway, but
Really small.
That is hilarious.
Literally
5-year-old.
They
Yeah.
literally had a
Yeah.
step stool, and there was like a big guy in front of me and he was like so embarrassed to have to use the step stool because he could just like do a little hop and get up, but they wouldn't let him. But me, I'm like, like when Ellie here, it's like, anyway, it was fun. I really had a good time. So I love my friends. That was great. Thank you for sending me. And I'm going to close with an email compliment that came in today. You all would appreciate this. So Eric Meisberger, who was the librarian guest this afternoon, he said, fellow folk are ready to do a required online training for his new job this morning. For some reason, the internet was out of his house. So we rushed over here, we got a laptop in the study room, and we did the training, which we got a 96% on, and he was able to move on to having a job, and this was something that had to be done today for him to have his new training. They're giving me the laptop back, thinking, I can save my life, training.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
So just like, those are the kind of things we love.
Thank you, Robin. Okay, we will move on to committee reports. Obviously, I tucked all the governance committee stuff in policy update stuff, so we can move on to fundraising.
Primarily a garden tour recap, and kudos especially to Marina, who provided a bunch of data and a bunch of numbers for all of us to know, but to be shared. Garden tour, $18,672 this year. And that is looking at ignoring the COVID years, 20 and 21. 2022 was 11,007. 2023, 19,006. Last year, 18,008, and this year, 18,006. So we're at a bit of a sweet spot, we think, in terms of where that is. The two biggest items that, and when I say we, I'm including Holiday and Maura, we met with Robin and with Marina right before this meeting. Two things that we are going to prioritize next year is, one, to really make a push to try to bring those advertising sales dollars back to where they were pre-COVID, and to also see what we can do to generate more tickets being sold. There were 312 tickets sold this year. I don't think any of us asked Marina for a comparison to years past, if I remember right.
She did say the board program was
around 500 or so. I didn't have post-COVID year by year numbers is what I meant, but what we're seeing is, and Marina explained this with the usual depth you would anticipate. There just are a lot of businesses that are hesitant or unwilling to make the kinds of purchases, for lack of a better word, that they might have in years past. So for example, this year our ad sales were $39.50, $3,950. And the last 2 years they were $38.50 in 23 and $3,800 in 24. So again, we're seeing what looks to be a plateau. My word, not Marina's. And so one thing that Holiday, Maura, and I really want to work on next year is to see what we can do for increased ads and increased ticket sales. We also figured since we had a group of us together, we're looking at 2 dates in June for next year. The biggest challenge we faced is there are only 4 Sundays in June next year. Wow. Who cares, right? Well, the third Sunday is traditionally Father's Day. And so that is the weekend that we've done the garden tour for the last 3 years. And so we're looking at either June the 14th or June the 28th. And our recommendation, if that's the best word, but certainly the word I think we're most comfortable, we think June 14th might be the better option. It's a little bit earlier in June, but not tremendously earlier. It's still relatively close to when the school year would have ended. And so perhaps a lot of families might not have, ducked out on vacation yet. And it also keeps us in that middle of June sort of sweet spot where we have been for a while. So,
Does a week like earlier work for the gardens?
Well,
Effects there, or
honestly, we didn't go that deep because
Okay.
we looked at the dates and thought, oh shoot, we can't do the 21st because obviously we're not going to go up against Father's Day. We didn't want to push into July,
No, I get it.
and we didn't want to push any earlier in June because then we're getting too close to butting up against the plant sale
Right.
and whatnot. So June 14th is what we're targeting. And then the last thing I'll say is one thing that we also batted around is, would it be wise, instead of doing an entire Mount Lebanon tour, to start thinking about focusing deliberately on specific pockets of the township and then sort of rotate the site? We didn't go any further than that, but we were looking at that as another possibility to maybe generate more interest than we might have had. So my two questions. June 14th, if we can, if we all think it's wise to go ahead and vote on that, and if there are any thoughts about a generalized or a localized garden tour versus township-wide that we've done traditionally.
Well, the date, I mean, I'm assuming we don't have to lock that down today, right? We're talking a year away.
We're actually going to start season very soon,
That's what we wanted, like,
Okay.
yeah, we
before the September meeting.
I'm fine with it.
I'm like 2018 to 4th of July.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
You're
my
on
word.
vacation.
That's my
Yeah,
word.
I
You're
won't-
now
I
4
won't be
weeks out of
there.
school, or 3.5 weeks out
Yeah.
of school. You're a week away from the 4th of
Yeah.
July.
Yeah.
Hey, you can never tell. It could be another 155 degrees that
Yeah.
day, but maybe the
Or by
earlier
this
change.
range.
Or it could, yeah, exactly. And my luck in picking this year, maybe I shouldn't be suggesting a date for next year, But let's tackle the date first, I guess. Any objection to June 14th? Okay. Any further thoughts on localized versus generalized?
My only question is, the thought is, if it's closer, the actual gardens we're using are closer together, people will be more interested in doing it. It's less of a hassle. Accurate, it's less travel,
I
it's less.
want both of you to weigh in as well, but our thought was, instead of, okay, I gotta go over here and I gotta drive over here and then over here and back and this way, and it would also lead to the possibility of a true walking garden tour. If possible. It may not necessarily be that way, but if you park your car at the local high school, at the one of the two middle schools or the elementary schools, depending upon which location you pick, in theory, you might be able to walk to most of the places instead of driving from place.
Are we in danger of not having enough gardens?
The thing we did discuss, and this is one of the questions that I brought up, is it would probably mean choosing 5, maybe 6 gardens instead of 7, and this year we had 8. I don't know if that would necessarily be an automatic drawback, except people at this point are sort of used to 7 stops or 8 stops. I don't know what they would feel if, we've taken 2 gardens away from them. So
I think a shorter, more compact tour, that's literally a walking tour, is a good idea, if you feel comfortable you can get the 6.
We have one, we can start making an application to see if we can do it, and if not.
Mhm.
Marina has a map, which is highlighted with every street that has been on the tour.
So this is something that doesn't need to be completely locked down.
Correct, no, we don't have to, the date is more important because what that does is allow for us to start promoting, soliciting, talking to people. And, you know, maybe we decide eventually we want to do something that connects to Flag Day. I don't know. We don't have to decide anything like that tonight, but we would be on Flag Day for what that's. Mhm. Yeah, she didn't share it with us tonight, which is not a
And
criticism.
not that you need to get
Yeah,
off that,
yeah.
that might. We did pay them,
Mm.
they all.
Mhm.
Because if you're only having those people go on average to 6 or whatever, because, you know.
Right.
Or just their, you know, they, it was just, we're just gonna put them on, there's a lot of field visits.
I'm totally fine with you guys exploring.
So, yeah,
I said, I'm totally fine with you guys exploring. it.
yes,
And this
yes,
is
we don't
starting-
have to
And
decide.
starting to sort of like you said, you're planning for that and scanning out where you need to.
Someone who's been on the garden for 5 years.
I laugh not at you, I laugh because that came up in conversation where apparently there was a garden that had not been used. And it was on a list maybe 12, 15 or so years ago, and repeated a year or two ago, and a couple of people apparently got upset. You know, I've been to that garden before. And I mean, shoot, you know, but, so it's not unusual, but if there is a repeat, it would be one that had been well over a decade.
We could do a board members.
You can come and see my no-mo maid that we adopted year round. Great. You really don't want to see that. No, it's so embarrassing. Same.
But I know many of you were involved either as volunteers or helping in some capacity. If you can, when I say do promise us to do that again next year, I don't mean that in the literal sense of the term, but it was, great to know whether it's the volunteer schedule or whatever that we've got a board member over here. And the last thing we'll say, and I know I've said this before, but I want to make sure that everybody understands that those two ladies were dynamite this year in getting a lot of what happened done. And I want to make sure that all of us know that very much. Yes,
Great, well.
absolutely, absolutely.
I appreciate that, but Marina is.
Marina's a good boss, so to speak, you know what I mean?
What she accomplished.
She does.
I felt like I did this and she did that. Is this her last one or is next year? She's going to be working on the next one and training her replacement. Hopefully we'll be able to do months overlap or something.
One thing she did say, and then I know.
No, you're
tight
fine.
on time, so I will be quick.
You're fine.
One thing she did say that, she has been really, really pleased with, the board's effort, whether it's getting volunteers together, whether it's soliciting, ads or what. But that has not always been the case, that she's had a very active board to work with. And so I know she mentioned that to us, 4 of us, including Robin, tonight, that she very much appreciates that. And is hoping that will be sort of a new trend. So that's what I got.
I would just say from the board as a whole, thanks to the fundraising committee, thanks to anyone else here who volunteered and Robin who.
Oh, one thing I just forgot. She talked about the baskets, and I'm drawing a blank on what she said. Did one of you jot it down?
Yes. We were asking which ones were the most popular.
Because baskets were up $700.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So Celebrate Pittsburgh, which had a brick membership, artwork, a painting by Richard Price and some very beautiful hands. The
Night on the Town, which was a hotel and opera tickets. You couldn't get the Symphony River to give or anything. The Bird Feeders did well. Pamper Yourself, which was a Pilates, the Voyevich Skincare, and the Dry Bar. The Board Basket, and the Ant Post.
It's awesome.
Yeah, thank you for jotting this down. Just remember that. about last month. So, we're in good shape.
Okay.
So jot down your calendars, June 14th. I expect all of you, no. You will be volunteering.
Thank you.
You bet. thank
Okay,
God.
old business looks blank, is that correct? Does anyone else have any old business to bring up? Okay, we will officially adjourn this meeting and Robin can stop recording. We can move to our, I'm gonna go first on advocacy.